So right here I have a brand new Hunter PGV valve. It's the same model as the valve that's in the ground. I'm going to show you guys how to take this sucker apart and rebuild the one in the ground without digging everything up out here. So you'll need a screw gun. If you don't have a screw gun, you can do it with your, it's a 5/8 I believe, bit. And you just go ahead and take these 4 bolts off the top. You can also do these with a flathead or a Phillips head on these Hunters. Rainbirds don't have that, Signatures don't have that, so I just use a 5/8. You can take this sucker apart. So I'll go ahead and do that. So I've gone ahead and pulled all those screws. Let's see if I can pop this top off here one-handed. Yep, there we go. Okay, so here's the inside of this valve. You got a spring right here. And this is what most commonly goes bad in these, that I have found from my experience, is that these springs, they just actuate like this, and over time they just don't press this diaphragm back down into the valve, causing it to seal properly. I'm going to go ahead and peel this back, show you what's inside of here. I'm going to get this off. So here's your diaphragm. This is essentially just a rubber thing that's pushed down by that spring, keeps the water from flowing through. So these springs just get weak over time and you have to replace them. And when I do a valve, I do the whole thing. If I'm going to come to a job, I'm going to do it right the first time. So I'm doing a new solenoid, new diaphragm, new spring, so I don't have to dig it up. I'm just going to bolt a new top end onto this valve in the ground. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now, show you how I do that. So how I'm going to do this is I'm literally just going to pull all the 4 of these bolts off here. And got a little bit of remaining water pressure down in there. So I'll show you kind of what this old valve looks like. Take this old nasty thing out. This is running off of a well, and so the water is very dirty. It's got a lot of calcium and iron in it. So here's the inside of this sucker. You can see all the calcium build up right there on the diaphragm, the rust from the orange water. And this spring here, if I squeeze that spring and squeeze this new spring, you can't hardly tell a difference, but it's from my experience that these go bad. Sometimes you can stretch them back out and make it work temporarily, but that's not a long-term fix. And as a professional, I'm in this for the long-term fix. I want to do this right the first time for my customer. So you can see here there's this little white thing. It's like a spacer down in there. So I'm going to pull this out, junk all this stuff from the old valve. This is all garbage. And I'm going to just literally take all the new top end parts and drop them in the ground and leave that body down there. The only thing this does is act as a housing for everything else. So you can leave these in, and as long as they're facing the right direction and you put everything on in the right direction, you're fine to do a rebuild like this. And there you have it. It's back in there, new one. I was literally off camera for 30 seconds while I zapped that thing down there with my impact. You don't want to cinch these suckers down. You just right down till it seats, and you're good to go. So I'm going to go ahead and turn the water on. We'll check for leaks again, and if it's all good, we'll wire it up and call it good. And there you go, guys, just like that, water's back on. No leaks in here. I'm going to go ahead and wire this guy back in to the correct zone so he keeps the numbered zones here, and we're good to go.